Okay. 1 second. I just
Yeah,
got that
it's
thing.
on
It's
now.
on.
Hi.
Oh, awesome.
Do you have headphones?
Um, I have um, I have AirPods.
No, I think it's okay. I heard myself in my ears screaming. Okay. All right. So you wanted to talk about your story.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So when did you how long have you been in business?
So officially for almost 8 years, the idea kind of started about 11 years ago.
And you're only 30,
35, 35.
35.
I would say I'd love to be 30 again, but 30 was some tough times. So I'm glad I'm.
Listen, you either go through it in the beginning of your life, in the middle of your life, at some time you're gonna have a rough time.
Yeah.
Believe me. I speak to so many clients and they think that their story is the only story and they can't relate to other people. Everybody has a hard story. Everybody has a hard story. It's
Uh,
how we come out at the end that counts, right? All
exactly.
right. All right, guys. On the line with me today is Rocky Candola out of Los Angeles, where he runs Hair Made in India. Hey, Rocky, what's up?
Hey, hey, how's it going this morning?
Awesome. It's your morning, my afternoon.
It's time zones, the time zones.
All right. So when I think of a hair company or someone who works in hair, I don't think of a man, not to be sexist, but I don't. So, how did you, at the ripe age of 35, come into working and owning a hair what manufacturing? Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
yeah, yeah, definitely. And you know what? You hit the nail on the head. I get kind of I looked at sideways and asked the question a lot, like especially people that know me. They're like, Rocky, you hair? Like, where did that come from? I've never even seen you care about your own haircuts. Like, so yeah, business these days, we have to all do what we do and kind of make it in the world. For me, 10, 15 years ago, where I was in my life, I was, quite wild, quite crazy, getting into a lot of trouble. And, I'll go into the story in detail later, but kind of the short version of it is I eventually wound myself up in quite a bit of trouble and sitting in an Alabama State prison about 12 years ago.
I
For
knew I heard an accent.
I was in
Like,
college down there, so it sneaks back up on me. I can't do anything about it.
I'm in Georgia, so I recognize that
It,
little
so,
twang you got.
it doesn't go
so,
away.
so you got locked up,
Yep.
and then you had a life calling that showed you the way to hair.
Kind of. I had a few of those quote unquote life callings. The first one and the way the hair company actually started, it's a quite a cool story. While I was in prison, instead of like doing everything everyone was doing, I was kind of brainstorming business plans. I was doing legal work for other people. I really wanted to be a lawyer. However, I had a quite a lengthy, 3-year prison sentence in front of me, and it didn't seem like that was going to work out. So I started looking into business and what can I do when I get out. I remember right before I went in, I started applying for jobs, and even Burger King at this point wouldn't give me a interview because I was a convicted felon. So while we were in prison, underneath a hot, sweaty dorm full of 200 inmates and two guards, a bunkmate of mine snuck in a cell phone, and we'd sneak under his bed, put towels over it, and have people look out for the correction officers for us, and call out to his sister and his girlfriend to make a one-page business plan about hair extensions. And
What made you, but why?
so
Okay, first of all, I got a lot of questions. A lot of questions. It's very fascinating. I'm trying to wrap my brain around this, but we will get to the stint in a little bit. But hair, of all the companies 8 years ago, what was happening 8 years ago that hair extensions was on the brain? Was that when it was like first blowing up?
No, not at all. I mean, it was just one of the things. So there was probably 15 or 20 different sketches and drawings and business plans that I made while I was there. And
Okay.
so when I got out finally, I dove right back in the same lifestyle. I was arrested for,
Oh
under
man, you didn't learn?
No, that I'm not the type you can punish or beat up or threaten to change. It has to come from within and a higher energy and a higher power.
Well, damn, that leads to a lot of life lessons, sweetie. If you if you don't learn, like I like to say, I learn vicariously through others. Like I don't have to have that experience to learn it, but
And that's
you need to be taught.
I have to go through it a couple times until I'm like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I should try something different.
Okay, so wait a minute. All right. So before we get out, how did we get in? What was it in your
Uh,
what? Because you're in your 20s, right?
yep,
So granted, in your 20s, we all do stupid things. And like and if any period of time you're gonna do stupid things, it would be in your teens and your 20s. Hopefully not in your 30s and 40s, right? We
exactly,
hope we keep the crazy to young because then we got an excuse. You're youthful. You don't know any better. So
exactly.
what was it? You're in Alabama State,
Yep. So
and
I have to
and
rewind.
Popo don't play down there.
Oh, not at all. They still don't play. There's no games at all. Well, I'd have to rewind a little bit to actually get to how I got in prison. So, from my age, my stupid things, I guess, started around the age of 11. And from age 11 to 17, I was sent to 9 different high schools, boot camps, military schools, and
Oh
state to
my gosh.
world. Yeah. So,
You a
um,
drama. How did your parents even handle you?
I don't know, man. They a blessing. They ended up creating what you see today, and blessed now. And they're like, thank God he's doing good now.
Yeah, right?
Really had to go through it in the beginning. So yeah, the first place I went to is called Worldwide Association of Specialty Programs. So it's basically like a boot camp for teens. If you know Paris Hilton,
Okay.
Paris
Mhm.
Hilton recently did a documentary about it, about these schools. Basically, you get kidnapped in the middle of the night, hands cuffed, feet cuffed, at 11 years old by 2 tall people. They
What?
go away to Mexico in a remote facility.
Mexico?
Yeah, that was my first one in Mexico. And
Oh my God. And you didn't shape up after that experience?
Oh, I mean, I went to 3 of those facilities and then a military school and a state school and jail here and there once or twice. So
Wait,
by the
wait,
time,
wait, 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 wait. We got deeper issues we have to address here. Okay, hold on. Because I don't think you fully understand what I do. I'm gonna have to get some sage and like cleanse your spirit or whatever because what in the world were you just rambunctious like acting out? Were you acting out because of trauma, drama? Like what was happening that made you this explosive personality that you did obviously had a problem with authority, right? Because you don't kidnap kids in the middle of the night, hog tie them and throw them, ship them to Mexico unless they're like for real issues.
so at this point in my life, I was basically just having issues with my parents. I was like, so I'm coming from an Indian family. They were first
Right.
generation here. Wants us to study and stay in school and do well and listen to our parents.
That's
I
what
was
everybody does.
Exactly. And I always had good grades. I didn't need to study or take a test. I would be the kid that would finish all his tests within 10 minutes. Everyone else was still taking the test. I would get straight A's, straight 100s, actually. I wouldn't miss any questions. And that was all the way throughout high school, always, even in college. Um,
Even when you're acting a fool and getting arrested, you're like making straight A's. So
yeah.
what do you account for your behavior?
So yeah, it's kind of wild. So to start back when I was 11, it was just me having a very strong will and wanting to explore, be out of the house. I played tennis. I'd practice 3 or 4 times a day, and I'd always want to be at the tennis park. And hang out with the kids in the neighborhood. And my parents just weren't having that. On top of that, I talked back a lot. And then my father taught me how to drive at a very early age.
Uh,
So at around 11, I started sneaking out the car, and I would go.
uh,
uh, I lived in a small town, right? So we go to Taco Bell,
yeah.
food, and go to the beach and just sit there. And
And
I never
everybody knows you're there because it's a small town, and everybody's like, "Did you see Vikram? Did you see him? Where's his mother?
did that,
Call his mother."
just like that. So I mean, honestly, it was pretty innocent stuff. I didn't even get into like partying or smoking or drinking until 16, 17. The early years were just like
It's
talking
like the
back.
normal age. Okay, so when did you get shipped to Mexico, though?
I was 12, I believe. I woke up in the middle of the night with the
What?
is like there, and they take you away. These programs are crazy. Like they were shut down now for like child abuse, rape, torture, suicide, all kind of stuff. The Mexican government actually finally came in and shut them down.
That's
So like
insane. But
yeah,
did
and
your parents pay for this to happen to you?
They did, and my father was a physician. My mother was busy with our two twins, my little brother and sister. So like
Uh-huh.
they didn't put like the most research into where I was going. It was an expensive school. They marketed themselves as being
Oh,
with doctors and teachers and good food and this and that. And they didn't have any doctors. They didn't. I didn't even have a teacher. We weren't allowed to speak to anybody or write anybody. You know, it was a very very strict, very very physical, very very uh,
wow. So you
brainwashed.
were basically in a concentration camp
That's the
style, like don't talk, don't move, sit here. This is your life now.
head shaved, clothes off, in the middle of the
No.
o'clock in the morning in the rain, getting pans and pots thrown at you. Like it was crazy.
What?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are still around. They've changed their names. If you like look up on YouTube like Gulag Schools or WWASP, there's a lot of like survivor groups out there where like people we weren't allowed to know each other's names or where we're from, so we all found each other finally thanks to Facebook and social media, and now we have groups.
Wow. Oh, that's right. Because it was before the time of Facebook. So you were actually didn't have that connection.
So not at all.
All right. So you're in this concentration camp in Mexico. How'd you break out? I'm surprised you didn't escape all these times. You've been in so many institutions, you didn't find a way to escape.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is as an adult, I actually visited there about 6 months ago, and I went and saw the facility I was in. And when I was a kid, the walls looked so big. As
Right.
an now, 6'2", I'm like, man, I could have maybe made it over that wall. But like, as a kid, yeah, there's water on one side, mountains on one side. We were told a Mexican drug lord stayed on one side of it. So like, we were
Yeah,
in
probably
fear.
true.
No one tried to leave. We're just like, we're here, we're stuck. There's guards everywhere, there's cameras everywhere. We can't get out. So like
Wow.
escaping wasn't an option. We were told at 12 that if we didn't graduate the program, which is a whole crazy another story, that we'd be given $50 and a bus pass and put on the border of the U.S. and Mexico because our parents don't want us anymore and they won't talk to us.
Oh my God.
There was no
I'm
like
gonna
timeline.
I'm gonna scare my daughters with this story, by the
Oh,
way. You wanna go to Mexico? You don't like this rules in this house. You could go to Mexico.
hey, it scared my brother and sister. My brother and sister never got in any trouble. They stayed home, graduated at home, went out
Uh,
in the area. They did good. So maybe that's
all
what the
right.
was like.
Dude, the life lesson is for you to learn. Let's see how you turned out. So we're 12 years old. Now we're out of this program. You go home, go back home.
So my dad moved us out of where we were in Mississippi to a private school. So he took the whole family like about 40 miles away to an
Okay.
Alabama town instead of Mississippi. And so
Okay.
I came back. My name was on the roster at this private, prestigious, good old boy school in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah.
For 6 months, they kept calling my name. So finally, I got there 6 months later, and everyone had all these stories of this crazy kid who stole cars and went to jail in Mexico. So like I already had that rep when I got
But
to
you
this.
only stole your father's car. Okay.
You
Well,
know
I mean,
how rumors get, like gossip.
you were like the superpower hero of the school. They're like, he's a badass. He's coming into our school.
Everybody knew me when I first got there. I think I was a freshman, and like all the senior, I was able to hang out with all the seniors.
You
I'll
were
go
the
to
story.
exactly, and I didn't even want to be. I just wanted to like, I was happy to be like out of that place, like in a normal place now. But that's what the way it turned out, and I got kicked out of that school a short 7 months later. This kid called me a sand N word, and I told him, if
Oh.
you said that again, I would. I was 13. I was like, if you say that again, I'll kill you. And they kicked me out of school for that. So
Oh my gosh. But I mean, in the South, I'm in Georgia,
yeah,
in
you are.
the northwest Georgia, which is probably like 45 minutes away from Alabama, about 2 hours away from Birmingham. That's where I am.
Yeah,
And yeah, you run into those people who are just ignorant. There's no other way to say it. But you already were a hothead and you already were like had this mystique about you going into this situation.
see, I was
So
never a high. I was always like loving. Like people would try to fight me, and I would like give them a hug. Like I was always like very caring and nice. I just like I would talk back. I was very smart. I've always like kind of been like smarter. Not want to say than average, just especially down there than people around me. And
especially down there.
it is what it is, right? I mean,
Hey, I'm not objecting to that assessment.
um, yeah. So like I mean, there was a couple of things that happened at school, and a lot of it. when I got to that school after being in Mississippi, my father was a physician in Mississippi. So people knew us, like knew my father,
Hmm.
had a lot of respect. In Alabama, no one knew us. And I realized for the first time, like, wait a minute, I'm not white. I'm not like everyone around me. I don't have this golden ticket. I'm a minority. I'm a foreign person here. And
Right.
Alabama, that school really made me realize that. You
Yeah.
know, and from there, it's once again a crazy story from 13, 14, 15, 16. I was just left that school, went to some private one-on-one schools. Then I got shipped to military school near you, actually in Gainesville, Georgia, Riverside Military Academy. I was
Oh my
there,
gosh.
and that was the last time I didn't get kicked out of there, but I had to leave. I was like, because that's when I first started fighting. I learned to fight because I was the biggest of all the sophomores, and all the
Mm.
my class wanted to see me fight and get beat up by the seniors. And the seniors were cool with me, like, because I used to. So another story of how I got into this stuff. I used to sneak out of there and go buy cigarettes and dip from the gas station for $5 and come back and sell them for $50.
Okay, let me just ask you a question. For stealing your father's car at 12, you were shipped off to a Mexican concentration camp prison. And that did not change your behavior at all. At all. It didn't make you think like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be stealing shit and like jumping out of windows and like not
No,
listening to my parents. Like that didn't change your mind how you should behave in life right now.
it made me more rebellious. That's it. It just
Oh
made
my God. Like you went through it. So now you got that body armor on. You're like, what? This is nothing military academy. I was in prison in Mexico.
exactly, and that's how it kept going until, like we were saying, eventually it wound up in big boy prison, as they call it. So,
All right. So that was how many years ago?
the military school, I was 15, so
Okay.
20. So,
So from there, you had to leave.
yep, and I went to a Catholic boarding school in South Mississippi near the border of Louisiana.
Oh my gosh.
I was at a dorm there,
They were
and
trying to get the demon out of you.
yeah, I was just like, I wasn't being rude. I guess looking back at it, I was pretty sarcastic to whatever they were doing and all that. And I
Yeah.
was like, what are y'all doing? This is crazy. But I played football for them as well, and like they were kind of like leaning towards me. Until one day my science teacher like ripped my I used to write rhymes and like journals and stuff, and he ripped it out of my hand, and like I jumped in his face and grabbed it back, and I was like, and I walked out of his class. And like the dorm fathers in there, like when you put like the dorm fathers like 30 years older than most, like when you put
Hmm.
in an environment where they have kids that don't want to be there, because some of the kids wanted to be at this place, I
Right.
did, but they don't know what to do either except like resort to like violence or grabbing us. And at this
Right.
point, like I knew like I could get out of the building easily and run away, and I knew that I could defend myself. So I was like, "You're not putting your hands on me." So the first time that they did try that, I sat on the guy, held him down, like didn't hit him, punch him at all, and just kind of waited. And they called the police, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, you don't need to be at this school." And I was like, "I don't want to be at this school."
Oh
Uh,
my God.
so they finally, my dad finally, was, you know what? We'll let you go back to your public school that you started at. So the school that I mysteriously disappeared from all the friends at 12 when I got sent to Mexico and got taken away in the middle of the night, I ended up back there 4 years later, 3 feet taller with all these chips on my shoulder and just ready to like party and be free, I thought anyway. And we went to spring break one week, and I had a friend of mine driving. We were coming back, and he got pulled over in my car, and we had alcohol, like some beer in the car. No one was drunk, but we had minor in possession of alcohol. Took everybody to jail. Everybody got a slap on the wrist. But me, a week later, I got sent back to the same program, picked up in the middle of the night, and shipped.
Oh no, the cartel came back for you.
Okay,
Oh
this
my
they were
God.
border of Canada and New York, so they took me the opposite direction up there.
Well,
But
let
it
me
was
tell
the
you
same.
something. Wait. Let me let me interject here. These are signs. These are signs. When you have recurring issues, like recurring situations, and it keeps popping up, like you ran into a issue and then there was a problem with this person, and then but then the issues intensify and they get worse and worse. That is a sign from the universe
Yeah.
that you need to look at what is happening because you're not addressing the core reason why it happened. I still think there's a reason at 10 you had this kind of attitude, or something had to have happened early on that paved way for these behaviors to happen, and then you just learn the behavior, learn to deal with it, learn to get stronger, learn to like compartmentalize your personality, right? Because you're super smart, you're making grades, you're getting in all these schools. I'm sure the curriculum wasn't the issue, but your behavior and the way your perspective, that didn't shift at all. Like none of that changed. So you're going to keep running into this problem.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't even decide to dive into myself until 10 years later. You know, I took that wild ride from 11. If you had to say something happened beforehand, I actually did get sent away to India alone before I went to Mexico. And I think that's where it kind of started making me feel like, like no one's here for me.
No one's here for you. Yeah.
Love me. My friends don't love me. I'm alone.
Right.
Survival
So
mode.
why, okay, to psychoanalyze you, why did you get sent away to India?
I don't really remember. So what my father and my mother told me was that they want me to have a cultural experience back then. I think later on in
Ah.
life, he told me like, with the new business I was doing, Rocky, and with your little brother and sister, you were just getting too hard to handle. You wouldn't listen to us. You would go bicycling. You would leave the house, and go outside. And I was only 10 or 11. But he was like, I wanted you to go there and learn about it. And honestly, I'm grateful for everything that's happened to me because it made me where I am and it's allowed me to do so much for my life and touch so many people. But India, I'm so grateful for. As a kid, I was scared. I was alone. I didn't know what was going on. I remember
Mm-hmm.
mom left me in the airport, gave me a wallet. My dad flew there with me, and then when he left, I still was like, he's not going to leave me. I'm not about to stay here alone. It's not going to happen.
So did at that time you didn't understand um fully, like you were there for an experience. You thought that they were getting rid of you. You
I
felt.
felt that. I felt. I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
I really didn't think that he would leave me. I knew he was taking me. I knew he was thinking about leaving me there, and I was like, "There's no way. Like something's gonna happen. Like I'm not gonna just get
But
left."
why did the thing is why? Okay, so let's say, I mean, it's hard to go back to the 10-year-old mind, right? Because most of it is just your emotions, how you felt. Not actually, this is your interpretation of what happened, is not actually reality, right? So how you felt. The feeling was really that you had two or three
So,
siblings, two siblings that now took your place, and now your parents are getting rid of you.
yeah,
I mean, that's what it boils down to
yeah.
at the end of the day. So that's your core feeling. So now you have no parents, there's no authority. You have these strangers who are teaching you some cultural experience that is like, it's great, but like this is not where I grew up in a different environment. Like I didn't grow up with all of this stuff. So you basically felt like you're kind of raising yourself for yourself, by yourself. You were detached from all your friends.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, I had to. I did like the food they had there. I couldn't eat it, so I would only eat like once a week. I would sneak out of that house and I would go to the market and get chicken, like a pound of chicken, and eat it all in 1 week. I would leave without telling anybody and take a train ride across the country to go play
so you
tennis.
was sneaking out even when you were
I
in another country?
have like a parents there, so I was like, it wasn't really sneaking out. It was more just like not telling them and just going. I would just leave. They had their own kids to deal with. So like there were some like distant family friends, but they were super young and they didn't like know what to do with this like almost teenager young boy from America. Um,
Oh,
I'd get a bicycle, get a scooter, and just hop on a bus and just go places. And I didn't know what else to do. I was like, I'm alone. I don't. My parents aren't here. Like,
right.
I'm not gonna sit in this room. You know what I mean? Let me just go explore. And
But you weren't scared?
I was. I mean, I got hit by a bus. I got lost. I lost my glasses. Like all kind of stuff happened. Like, but I mean, I was okay. Everything ended up being okay.
You're like,
Like,
it's all right. It's I can't see, but it's all right. I'm gonna get there. Well, damn. Okay, so we persevere. So you so now we are 20 something. What did you do to get put into big boy jail? Because that's a whole nother ball game.
so at 17, I graduated from the last program, the one in Canada, New York. I got out of there, had my fake high school diploma because they weren't even an accredited school. But I got accepted into college, and my parents wanted me to go down south. And so at 17, after whatever I went through the 5 years before that, I was like, I'm grown. I'm gonna go out to the world. I'm gonna go crazy. I don't care about authority. I don't care what people say.
But you didn't care about authority to begin with. It didn't seem.
I honestly, like, from 11 to 16, like, I was still pretty, I was a good kid. Like, I would still respect my elders. I would respect authority.
Yeah.
I just wasn't gonna be quiet when they were throwing BS in my face, racism in
So
my face.
now you're like, I am man, here I come.
I
And
just
then
don't.
Popo's like, get your ass in the back. We going to jail.
I think I probably got locked up like 10 or 15 times for small stuff in between,
Oh
like,
my gosh.
it's all drugs and alcohol. I mean, I dove like headfirst into drugs, selling drugs, doing drugs, getting robbed, being robbed, robbing other people, violence, sex, parties, girls, all just
But
crazy.
what now looking back on it, like what is it that you're trying to fill in your life? Like you want somebody to care? You is it that you want someone to just care about what you're doing?
I think partly yes. I think I've realized this actually just the last couple of months. A lot of times when I want to like bother somebody else or hurt someone else that loves me, I tend to hurt myself
Of
or
course.
uh,
Yes. Of course.
and
All your whole process is all just hurting yourself. The reason is why. So you either need attention, want attention or affection, or you're acting out in these ways because that's the only way you get somebody to care what you're doing. And in your case, it happens to be the police. They care a lot about what you're doing all the time. They're constantly caring about what you are doing.
they
Is
care so but
it they go get you anytime somebody calls.
right,
They
they
put
keep
you in, they
happening.
give you a ride everywhere you need to go. We can laugh about it now because it's already over. But my gosh, the life lessons we gotta learn. All right. So you get picked up because you were doing drugs.
Um, I would get so Alabama's really hard with marijuana. I would
Yeah.
have marijuana, smoke it, and I would get arrested small times here and there. But eventually, I got deeper into selling drugs and selling cocaine and selling pills. And they had an undercover sting operation with the feds, the state, and the local
Mm,
police. Did a controlled buy, had me on audio and video, and that was my distribution of controlled substance conviction from 2009. And they did like jail for a little bit, rehab for a little bit, house arrest for a little bit, until finally I was just not listening because I was still smoking. And I was like, they put me on house arrest, and I'd have like parties with like 50 to 100 people at my house.
what?
I just do what I
Oh
could.
my God.
And so finally, like, we're sending this kid to prison, and the judge was like, "I'm giving you 10 years, goodbye." And
10 years.
in Alabama, you serve 33% of your time, so I ended up, only in prison and jail, like lockup, roughly 2.5, 3 years. So
I mean, dang, dude, you had all of the steps to stop you along the way. All of the rehab methods, even even Mexico, Canada. No way. They couldn't send you to any state. You were just reckless.
yeah, every bit of, like, now we have like terms and like actual people like doing wellness and healing and meditation,
Right.
and they've tried
Right.
all that on me. It just goes to show, like, even nowadays, if someone's not open to it, open to
Yeah.
receive and willing
Yep.
to, there's nothing that's gonna, except for their own path. And honestly, I could be locked up for life. I could be dead. I could be in the hospital.
Yeah.
Where so, I really truly feel like now where I am, 10 years past, 12 years past all that, that as crazy as it sounds, like everything that I went through had to happen. And by the grace of God, a higher power, higher energy, the universe, I was blessed enough not to like I had like all my entire jaw's fake. I have metal in here. I have scars and stab wounds and half my head cut open, half my arm cut off. But I'm still walking, talking, I'm breathing,
From all of your shenanigans.
everything.
So even all that physical trauma, you still was like, I'm gonna do me. No one's controlling me. That's it.
I remember when my jaw got crushed, right, and I have metal plates in here. About 7 months later, I still had no teeth on this side of my mouth. I was in New Orleans, and I was like, I want to pick a fight with someone to see if I get hit, I'll be okay. So I picked a fight with some little bouncer or bartender, and
Why did that make sense to you in your
I
brain?
just wanted to know that I could get hit and not have it break again.
You
And that's
planning on getting hit over and over?
after that happened. Like before, like when I went to military school, I started like fight defending myself. Actually,
Right.
I would never like be violent or swing on anybody or hit anybody first. After this happened, I will be like not wanting anybody to hit me first. And I started getting to an angry point where I was looking for fights. And
Right.
honestly, in my mind, I was trying to work through like Rocky, like you can't just be jumpy and punch someone.
Mm-hmm.
Punch you.
Mm-mm.
I never had violence on my record. I never got in trouble for violence because it didn't really come up much. But it would be so close all the time, and like my
Right.
whole energy and body and mind would get so hyped and ready to like.
Yeah, it's all the adrenaline running through your body because you know you're starting stuff that you don't need to be starting. Like
I
you
think
easily could diffuse
like,
a situation, but you pick a situation.
and see now, like with the way I carry myself, like I used to be the person I would get in arguments, I'll get in road rage things. Like now, like I'm not only am I not looking for it, just my whole vibe, like my vibration when I'm meeting people, talking to people. If something like crazy happens, I smile and I give like love and like it doesn't come to me. People don't cut me off in road. Police don't bother me. Random
Uh,
people don't say anything to me. Like it's always a good exchange. Like I don't even remember the last time I had like any kind of like negative encounter with anybody. My
so
client,
you
any
finally had a shift somewhere. It finally like
years of shifts, like of pushing against the shift while the shift was coming. Like
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all very self-destructive, right? You have to kill the old self to be the new self, and you took that literally. Like you brutalized and had other created situations where other people could brutalize you over and over again because that's the way you felt the first time that it happened to you. That's the only reason. You were just reliving that first instance and you're like, "Well, this is what I'm going to get served again and again and again and again and again." And finally you shift it. So you're in jail, you come up with this business plan because now you're in there for long term and you well, was it your cellmate that kind of moved your mindset to think like, hey, we need to figure out what we're going to do when we get out, or how did that come about?
so it was in Alabama we have dorms and for me it was like either I'm gonna buy a satellite phone, an encrypted car, and be like the best drug dealer in the world, or I need to figure out something else to do. Like I'm looking at my journals and I read it. I'm like, wow, I was really at a crossroads between going all into the gangster crazy life or like trying to do something else. For me at this point, I was like, you know what? I don't feel like going to law school. Even though I got accepted, took the LSAT, I was like, I don't want to go to law school anymore. My father wants me to do medicine.
How did you take the LSATs when you're sitting in all these
This is before,
juvies?
and it was between 18 and 21. I mean, I was a 7 year freshman. It took me 7 years to graduate. However, when I finally got down to it, I think I completed almost 4 years of college classwork in about a year and a half. I took 18 hours and summer classes and just finished it. I ended up with a 4.0 GPA in my major and like a 3.76 like overall because of other stuff I did. So like I was finally ready. I was like, let me get college out of the way, like, and I did it. And I was like, okay, I want to do some professional LSAT, this and that. And like that was a factor when they were sentencing me, like trying to like, oh, he got accepted into law school, let him go to law school. And if they would have said,
Right.
yeah, I would probably be in law school right now. And honestly, I feel like I'd be miserable. Like the way it turned out, like I'm glad that judge didn't say, you know what,
Oh my
this.
God, you would have beat up a lawyer. You would have had no defense. You would have
Nah,
got in real trouble.
yeah, I mean, honestly, like once again, like the violence thing was nothing for me. I'm more like I would have figured out some way to play around the system, get in the gray area,
Oh, a
money and
scheme.
drugs and stuff like that. I mean, that would have and then I would have hated being like in like a courtroom every day. Like I don't
Yeah.
even to this day, if I have to go to the traffic ticket thing, I'm just like, I don't want to be in this courthouse. It's just so institutional and smells the same. Like I don't like it. Like,
I wonder what you were in your past life. You probably got that character still stuck in you somewhere.
there's
This rebellious spirit that keeps on coming out. All right. So how did you get into so you're with your roommate and dorm mate, whatever, and you're talking about the business and you realize, was it his sisters or friends that were like, hey, get into hair extensions?
they were just like, oh, like he was talking to his sister, like you got an Indian dude in there with you, because no Indian people go to prison in Alabama anyway. So they're like, oh, well, you got an Indian dude, like we need to get that Indian hair. And so Ja, like the dude, we would sit there and write other business plans down, and eventually, like he would see my business plans, he'd be looking at it like, oh, that's cool, Rough, like that's a good idea. And he's like, yo, what about hair? And I was like, I don't know. He talked to me about it. So we did, and we talked about it. We called them, and like we started. I still have that 1 page business plan actually. And that wasn't going to be the one, like that wasn't the main idea. I didn't know what I was
Okay.
still. I was just, when I got out, like I told you, I got back in the same lifestyle, like I was on
Mhm.
parole, almost got locked. I did get locked up twice or three times and almost got violated and sent back to prison. If I went back, I would have had to do 7 years. Luckily, the universe said, you've done your time. We're not sending you back, but you need to learn your lesson. So
Seriously.
finally, after like 2 years or 3 years after prison, I got my teeth back. They finally did the surgery, took the bone out of my head, put it in my mouth, and gave my
Like,
teeth.
this is an actual conversation we're having. After I got out of prison, I got the bones structured in my face and teeth inserted back in my mouth. Like, you hear yourself, right? Okay,
Yeah,
just checking.
you all sound so normal when other people have the
Just
same
regular.
ways.
So you got your teeth back, and then
And then got all the paperwork, all the probation. They had a court date, and like the judges were all like, "Okay, you're 7, 8 years, you're finally done with this. Like, we're letting you go." And once again, I was back in the same lifestyle. I was dating multiple girls. I was selling drugs. I was smoking weed. I was partying every night.
what happened to your business plan?
I didn't think about it again until one day, November 4th, 2012. My dad randomly, who I've always butted head with, came to me and he was like, humbly and nicely and like lovingly, like, "Hey, I haven't really seen you much. You haven't really asked us for money much. I don't know what you're doing really. Maybe, if you want to get out of town and go try something new, I'll do it for you. I'll pay for it." And he was like, "Go anywhere in the world you want to go." So I could go either to Canada, London, or India. And that night, I slept on it. I woke up on November 5th, and I was like, "I'll go." 2 days later, I was on a plane, November 7th, my mom's birthday, to India. And I let go of all the like cars, the money. I gave my dad the drugs I had. I said bye to the people I want
You
to say.
confessed? You confessed that what you were doing to your father?
Yeah, I told him, I was like, "Here's like this is what I have, and throw it away. He's a doctor. You can get rid of it properly or whatever you want to do." And it wasn't like a big like cry like, "Oh my God, I'm changing my life" thing. I was just like, I don't know. I don't like being addicted to these opiates anymore. I don't like looking over my shoulder. I don't like the girl I'm dating. I don't like the craziness of my life. Like I'm partying on Snapchat. It looks like I'm like the happiest, most like crazy
Right.
like party kid in the world, but I'm like going crazy inside.
Yeah.
I want
Well, if
something
you
new.
look at people and their Instagram and their social media and all that stuff, those people that have the smiling pictures that it took them like 20 million takes to get that perfect smiling, those are some of the most sad, lonely, depressed, deprived people because they're trying too hard. They're just trying too hard to look too normal, because normal doesn't look like so posed and great and fun. Normal's average.
Yeah,
Normal's like like it's
exactly.
not all that. So you had this revelation.
Yeah, and
You
I like to feel like I had like three of them. This was like my first like outside,
Okay.
like some kind of calling, and I was like, I'm gonna listen to it. And that
Okay.
was 2012. So I went to India and like I let go of cigarettes, everything, weed. I lived on a village with a family friend in Punjab, India, and did farming with him, worked out with him on a daily basis, and just kind of got clean, detoxed, and stopped talking to people that I was talking to. Started listening to like a little bit of motivational stuff, not totally it. I got into that later.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, eventually I was like, you know what, cool. Like I'm clean, like I'm out of that lifestyle. I'm away from there. Like, what am I gonna do in my life now? So I started looking for a business in India. I was like, oh, I can own a liquor store, I can own a restaurant, I can own a hotel, I can,
So you were planning to live there, like stay there, live there?
yeah. I had rented in a car, I had rented an apartment, I did everything, and met my now ex-wife there as well at that time, and started the hair business. I eventually was like, you know what? I remember like I have this business plan from prison with hair, and it's Indian hair, and they're in India. So let me start researching it. So I started traveling all around and visiting manufacturers, visiting temples, visiting factories, learning about the labor, learning about the quality, the supply, the demand, everything. And then one day I made a Facebook post about like having hair. And all my homegirls from high school and back in Alabama, they were like, "Yo, Rocky, you got hair? Like, hit us up. We're gonna work with you. Like, let's." And I was like,
You were busy with pills and drugs and you didn't even know the gold of hair you were sitting on. Oh my
"Exactly."
gosh.
What's funny
It's
though,
that legal crack.
that legal crack. That's what I do. My business classes, and especially people from that lifestyle. I explain it to them like basically like it was like drugs, like crack almost, because it's like if you're
Mhm.
especially if you're transitioning from going to that and you want something legal and legit and different, it's such a crazy cool correlation like how the businesses are kind of aligned. Like hair is an
Yeah.
unregulated industry. Obviously, drugs are unregulated and illegal, but hair is legal. So I kind of explain it using that, and the people that have been through it, they're like, "Whoa, that makes so much sense. Like I get it. Like thank you So like I said, it all happened for a reason. Like it all, the whole story progressed like to be how it is. But yeah. So when this happened to me, we had a lawsuit. The DA wouldn't press criminal charges against me because they thought they told my dad like your son's a convict and he's a drug dealer. We're not pressing charges against the guys that did it to him. So we went to a civil suit, and that civil suit eventually settled whatever. Well, for my jaw was how I used that money to start basically the hair company.
So
And I
you
made
got beat up. Was it by
I
guards?
got picked up and thrown into a concrete sidewalk, and my face slid across the sidewalk. So honestly, and this is hard to say, 10 years ago, I was really mad at them. But obviously, I'm okay now. I don't think they meant to hurt me as bad as they did. They just were like trying to throw me on the ground.
Yeah.
But when it did, it hit the sidewalk, and like you seen American History X where they curb stomped the dude.
Yo,
Like
oh, I do not like that vision. Ugh,
that's
that's what
how.
happened.
Yeah, and so like I just
Oh,
somehow I was still conscious, but they said I walked into the hospital and my entire jaw was just like a jumble of bones. All the teeth, like only four teeth are like totally real. The rest of them have
oh,
all kind of stuff on them.
oh my God. That'll stop you from talking back to people, wouldn't it?
Oh, remember I told you 6 months later I started a fight on my own just to see if I could get hit in the face. I started like doing like this, and I was like, I want to see if like if I get hit, if I'll be okay real quickly. Like that was my
No,
mind. Like back
no, that makes no sense. That must be the drugs because
back then,
that doesn't make no sense.
that probably played a big factor in it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, it's not a major issue now. And you've hopefully learned from these life experiences that you don't want to encounter again. And you're not going to put yourself in that situation because now we're vibing high. So we're high on hair.
High on here.
And we are in the manufacturing business. So you have your own brand, Hair
Yep.
Maiden.
Hair
Okay,
made.
so how did you come up with Hair Maiden, or is it as simple as hair made in India?
So we sell virgin hair, human hair, and
Got it. So
like,
maiden.
like your mother's maiden name,
Yes,
play on,
yes.
and then it's also from India, so made in India. All that stuff as far as like the design stuff, we did all over there. Like I got the labels, everything all quickly. I got the LLC on the laptop while I was sitting in India. By the time I got to the States, with my now ex-wife at the time, everything was ready to go. And I'm a born hustler, born salesman. So like as soon as I touched
Mhm.
in the airport, talking to TSA, giving out business cards, at the gas station, at the restaurants, the stores, going to salons. So I just started working. I was like, I'd never done anything legal before or worked. And now I have a wife that I want to take care of. So I got a job teaching tennis as well. And I was getting like almost $50 an hour in Connecticut and New Jersey.
Nice.
And I tore my ACL. And then I was like, man, I thought I'd be able to do this tennis thing forever and be okay. I really got to dive in this business even more now. So
Yeah.
I doubled down on my business, started doing trade shows, just going around everywhere. And eventually we moved from New Jersey to Cali and came to her family's house. And about 2 weeks later, we broke up, we split up, and
Oh man, you moved all the way to California to get divorced?
drove there.
Even worse. Maybe there was the drive that did it, that pushed you over the edge.
Definitely was part of it. And I mean, she's a great person. We had our differences. I think a lot of it was I wasn't totally ready at that point. I was still like
Yeah.
out of my crazy lifestyle.
Dude, you're a hot mess. Like your jaw wasn't even healed, your teeth weren't even back all the way. Like you're a hot mess. I could tell you already you were a hot mess. Like you can't that's not a survivable relationship for either of you. You know,
Yeah.
you're still in transformation mode. When you're in that stage, like you're not where you are supposed to be yet. So somebody would have to be transforming at the same rate as you. And that's like nearly impossible to do it.
That was
Nearly impossible.
huge progressions during that time. And I did
Yeah.
I wanted to do acting. I started acting. I was on a Hollywood like play and stuff, and I was doing all kind of other stuff. And she doesn't really liking it. She was kind of like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? Like, and like that just caused more and more issues. And then like,
Yeah.
we were both drinking and smoking together, and that would cause
Oh,
issues.
that's not good either then.
And like I still had like insecurities and like all kind of stuff that I was working through. You know what I mean? I was definitely consciously working on it, but it didn't. Someone else also had to like kind of bear the weight of that at the same time, and especially if they're
Hmm.
really close to you, and then you both live together and work together. Like she was kind of having to bear all that, and eventually, like it didn't work out. And I was left homeless. I was living in a minivan in LA, And all my family and friends, they were like, "Come home, Rocky, come home." And
Yeah.
I started slipping. I almost got back in the the old lifestyle. And I don't know what it was. It was, I think it was like definitely the universe was like, "Know what, Rocky? Like, you're here. You see how business is going. You see you're hustling. You see you're able to
Yeah. Make it happen.
make it happen." And it took a year to even like I'm a convicted felon. I have no job history. I have no bank account. So like had to get a place eventually. I was staying in hostels in a minivan and literally on the side of the road sometimes. So eventually, this place downtown, who I never even saw the place, said, "If you show us X amount of dollars in your bank account, business bank account, we'll let you get a place." So like I had like half that amount of money, and I was like trying to make it work, and I was like buying hair, selling hair, meeting people, driving all around LA whenever anybody asked me to come meet them. And a lot of my clients from back then that saw me in that homeless hustling stage, they're some of my best clients now, and like just rave about like, "Yo, Rocky, it was so awesome seeing you sitting on the ground outside of a tire shop with your suitcase of hair, showing us to where you're sitting right now in Beverly Hills." Like, what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hello.
But I mean, I hustled it, and finally I
You
got it.
need a movie like what I need like a Netflix series or something like Jesus kid.
Yeah, but,
All the way up to the hair business.
and that was my second transformation. So when I got in that place downtown, Cinco de Mayo, I think 2015 or 16 or something like that, I quit drinking for a while, quit smoking weed for a while. I quit eating meat. I don't eat meat now. I started doing yoga, started doing meditation. I didn't have any friends, and I wanted friends, and I knew I was starting to get in the wrong crowd. So my friend
Mhm.
Sean flew in from Korea, one of my best friend, and like shining light in my life since a young age, and kind of introduced me to these communities in LA of like yoga, wellness, breathwork, meditation, healing, just good vibes, high vibes, good
He
food.
knew you needed some centering there. He's like, let's bring it inside.
Exactly. And Sean's not the type to like force anything on you or teach you anything. He just
Yeah.
lived with me. He knew I was going through the breakup, and he was like just supported me. And just it was like 2 or 3 weeks, and like in that time, what he showed me, like the music he listened to, the audio tapes he listened to, Tony Robbins, Robin Sharma, Joe Dispenza,
Oh, I love Joe Dispenza.
yeah, Dr.
Greg
Doc.
Braden's a good one.
And like, and I was like, "Yo, like, I don't want to listen to any of this like Boosie, Webby, Jeezy I've been listening to. I want nothing but this positive stuff in me. I don't want TV anymore. I don't want to talk. I stopped talking to all my old friends, like
Well,
completely.
that's good. You got to shed the old skin if you want to grow into the new skin.
Exactly. And I mean, it took me 3 years of working at that place downtown, keeping the shop open 24/7. And all of a sudden, my business is doing. It went from in New Jersey. If I did 5,000 in the business in a month, I'd be like, "Oh my God, 5,000 revenue in a month. How did I do that?" To doing 50,000, and like, wow, like
Nice.
it's actually legit now. And that was downtown, but that place I had downtown, my ex-wife came back for a little bit, and we tried it again for a little bit, didn't work. So I was like, everyone's like, "Oh, Rocky's in this beautiful loft downtown. His business is doing okay. Like he's like right next to the Staples Center. He must be successful." And once again, I was miserable.
You're
You know,
lonely. The
I,
loneliness, the
I was sad. I was still
you're
smoking.
with you.
Yeah,
You're with you. It's hard because if you didn't like you before, which is why you kept getting yourself beat up, even with money and success, if you're not changed the inside, the mind, and the self-love, that's gonna keep on creeping up. But it will actually creep up to show you to
exactly.
change, to accept it, to make it different. So
And that
how did we work this out?
so I spent a lot of time alone there. I was still in the beginning, like maybe 6 to 9 months before COVID or whatever happened. Uh,
Hmm.
I was like still partying, still going out drinking, but I was also alone and keeping my energy to myself and trying to figure out what's going on. Like I'm making money, I'm doing everything. I have a car, I have a spot, I have money, I have everything I wanted, but like I'm
No
waking up
happiness.
crying, like I'm in the bathroom pulling my hair out. I'll see a client in the front of my showroom and smile, and then I'll walk to the back and I'll have tears in my
Be
eyes.
crying. Yeah, you're like
Like all
you
day
know what?
long.
After you have kids, the hormones run through your body, and that's exactly how you experience life. You'll be like happy, fun, playing 1 second, you turn around and you're like your eyelashes are falling out, you can't brush your teeth anymore, like you don't even want to put a bra on, and then but then you're like you have this beautiful little baby and you go out and you have a nice new things and you look cute in the pictures, but then you're like home miserable alone, but it's like such it's hard because that is it's called the Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it, look it
Shadow.
up.
Yeah.
The Dark Night of the Soul. And that is you confronting you. And
Exactly.
that's the journey you got to go through. And it's right here. It's right now at that 35, 36-year-old stage. I remember going through it. I remember it clearly. I couldn't sleep for like 10 months.
Same.
Like,
Same.
could not sleep for 10 months. I would wake up, be like, please, like, let me just go unconscious. I don't need to dream. Just let me just pass out. And nope, 10 straight months of no sleep. And then finally, as I worked on the body, as I worked on the breathing, the meditation, as I worked on like all those inner things to work on, I started being able to stay asleep for like 3 hours a night,
Yeah.
and it slowly became more routine. So now I could stay asleep for like maybe 5 hours a night. And
I'm right 5 to 6 right now. So
I mean, it's a tough time, but then once you get through it and you come out the other side of it, you're like, oh, that like it was nothing. But it wasn't nothing because when you were in it, you were like wanting to beat your brains out, you know?
and then COVID happened at the same time for me. So like
Yeah.
while like trying to do this, all this, like I went to Bali actually. So I was like smoking weed still, and I was trying to reflect on myself, but I was so cloudy. And when I went to Bali, I set the intention. I was like, I'm gonna stop smoking weed. I've never tried to stop smoking on my own. I've been made to quit this and that. But I was like, this time for myself, I'm gonna give it.
Hmm.
I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna see what happens if I let go of weed. I remember sitting down in my apartment downtown before I went to Bali, rolling a joint, and like sad and like tears in my eyes, like how am I ever gonna have fun again if I can't smoke weed? What am I gonna do? And now I can laugh at it because it was so funny because I was so serious. I was like, life is over. I'm about to stop smoking weed. Like I don't know how to like have fun. What do I
How are
do?
you
Like
gonna function?
I'm not gonna function, right? Like, but Bali was a blessing. I did everything. I was in Ubud and I did yoga, meditation, breath work. I met just the purest, most beautiful souls that somehow knew what I was trying to do and what I was going through, and would just
Yeah, because most of them are escaping the same thing you were escaping and on your search for. My brother actually lives in Bali.
oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, he's been
Oh,
there for like 10 years or so.
that's awesome. That's
Yep.
awesome.
I haven't been though, but I could live vicariously through him.
It was
I'll
life.
give you so
Like,
I'll give you my my little 75 hard story, right? Have you heard 75 hard?
no.
So it's a workout regimen
Okay.
um by First Form, Andy Frizilla. He's another minds, skills, body specialist. So you can't drink for 75 days. No smoking, obviously. No sugar. And you have to work out twice a day, one outside, and consistently for 75 days. No breaks, no cheat meals. And you
Yeah.
have to drink a gallon of water. And you have to read 10 pages or 10 minutes, something like that, of self-help, some kind of self-help book. So I did my 75 hard and I became 75 no fun for anybody. No fun. I still have not. So I'm on like day 90 right now since
Yeah.
it ended on the 4th of July.
Okay.
And now I'm afraid to drink. I'm scared that I'm gonna be so sick that I'm like, I can't drink anything. So my girlfriend's like, well, just have a sip. I was like, no, I don't want to sip. The first thing I did, I had 2 Oreo cookies and I felt like vomiting. I was like,
Well,
why did I do this? So now, like, alcohol is just not even a question. Like, I might not survive a sip of alcohol.
that's cool. I
Yeah.
want to try some kind of program like that too, like where it's like very regimented and structured, like on my own, and pick
It's
it
too
like.
hard. It's too hard. I'm like, I just want to be normal. I just want to enjoy life. So, where are we now with the hair empire? What are we doing?
Hair is going beautifully. During COVID, I had time to slow down, reflect not only on myself and spend time alone, but also restructure my entire business. I was
Okay.
I was scared to move out of that place downtown because they had gave me a place. I saw this record and this felony, so I was like, oh, I might not get another place, but I have to get out of here. I was like, not good energy, not a good vibe there. I had to leave. Everyone once again told me, my clients, my partners, my parents, you're crazy. What are you doing? Don't leave this place. Your business is gonna go down. Everything's gonna mess up. And I was like, it's time to go. So this was last summer. I took, and this was another big shift in my life. Everything I had, all the accumulations, all the dishes, all the beds, all the electronics, all my suits, all my shoes, I gave everything away to the homeless downtown LA. I actually walked down the street. I was like, yo, you guys need some stuff? Come here. And got them to walk in my apartment and just pick up stuff and take it and just take it and just I get rid of everything. I got my life down to a backpack, a carry-on suitcase, and a tennis bag. And I
You
moved.
did the purge.
I did the purge. I did the purge. And I moved into a hostel in West LA.
Why? Why did you do that though?
I grew up in boot camps, military schools, right? So I'm better being in a group living environment when I'm single than like having my own place. I didn't want my own
Uh-oh.
place. I wanted to be in a
If
group.
if I were your therapist, I would say red flag that. For sure. Red flag that. Because the only reason you want to be around other people's energy is because you don't like your own energy, which means don't bombard yourself with other people. Fix you.
Yeah, and I mean that's what I was doing during COVID too. I had like 6 months of like just myself in that apartment of like going through the tears of quitting, of doing it sober, as well. So I was
Yeah.
like, it's time for me to like get back. Like I want to meet people. I want to be around people.
Yeah.
And actually, like I had a business mind of doing it well, and I did hire 3 or 4 people there to do small jobs
Okay.
business. So I had like a mindset going into it. I wasn't gonna stay there forever. I was like, because I was looking for apartments too, but I was like, I didn't find anything I loved. So I was like, let me move. The hostel's only 1,400 a month. I'm on Venice Beach. I can walk to the water every day. Right in
Ugh,
Monaco.
isn't Venice like polluted with a whole bunch of crazy, whacked out meth heads right now?
I was like a mile away from all that. So like a mile up the street, you could see it, but like where I was, it was a nice big house actually. And
Yeah.
during that time, it was summer and it was COVID, so like it wasn't like packed. So it was very
Right.
nice.
Nobody was
It was
there.
really good for me. It was like it was healing. I had good conversations. I'm very open and talkative, so everybody around me knew why I was there, knew I was going through a divorce, knew I was changing my business, knew my parents were mad at me for not coming home, all kind of. And like, it was like a group like community I had of like talking to them. And what's wild is the girl I'm with right now, I actually met her there. She was on a day trip down from her parents' house and we met. And at that point I was dating, I was looking around. I wanted to meet somebody that was like aligned with like working on themselves, reading
Mm-hmm.
books I'm reading, caring about spirituality. And I had never met a woman like that. My exes were not anything like that. They were all business minded and high five and flashy and this and that. And I met this like little cute girl in the kitchen one day and she like made fun of my watch. And then we became friends and started hanging out. And all of a sudden we're sitting on a hammock one day and I was like, she's like reading like Spiral Dynamics, by Frederick Dodson, I think. And making notes in it. And I was like, did the universe just like that fast? Like I just asked for it.
When
Uh,
you're open to it, it comes that fast.
and
You're
yeah,
you're in the manifestation mode.
exactly. And at that same time last year, my business started doing 6 figures a month.
Nice.
Till now, we've done that consistently for a year now. I've opened up a new business, 2 new businesses. I've started a vacation rental property. Bought one and I Airbnb it, and I'm looking for my next one. I moved into this beautiful office in Beverly Hills, and I mean, me and her have been. She's younger than me too. I've always dated girls 6 years older than me, so it's
Oh,
definitely new. And we've had our struggles as well, plenty of them. In between, we're both very very hard-headed in a lot of ways. We both want the same things, but we both have our own ideas of how
of
to
how to
get.
get there. Yeah.
And I've learned a lot from her. She probably like is kind of intimidated by me sometimes about where my business is and about how much I've achieved and grown so fast in a couple of years.
Hmm.
She doesn't give herself enough credit because I've learned a lot from her. Like we broke up just a month ago and like spent some time apart and got back together, and it kind of made me realize like wow, like I don't need anything else from her but what I'm learning and what we're growing from each other, and she's learning on the business side from me,
Right.
learning on like the more energy and flow side from her, and it's just created so much. So now, one of the reasons for the podcast I started doing was to share my story, but now we're like co-creating wellness events, retreats, coaching. Hopefully,
Nice.
prisons and stuff together. So it's beautiful, man.
So
Yeah.
what would you say is like now having come, from such a low place, beating yourself up, going through this whole personal journey while you're still on your path though. I mean that's pretty tough to do. So you went through all this, you have all this life experience. As an entrepreneur, what did you learn from going to all those institutions that set you up for entrepreneurship?
About people and life, and I just met so many different people. And then I think a lot of my like hustle and like resilience mindset, and like, hey, whatever happens, especially as an entrepreneur, you gotta be ready to take the punches and shift and adapt. And that's just my nature. Like for me, I'm almost, and I think my girlfriend actually told me that she does a lot of like reading about Dharma and like soul work and light reading. And she's like, Rocky, the type of business person you are, you're a responder. And I was like, you're so right, because when things are going smooth, I'm like cool, smooth. But when things start happening, like we had riots downtown, we had COVID, like that,
Right.
like I really, that's when my biggest asset, I become like the biggest asset to myself. Or my body, my mind, my soul, it knows what to do. I just hop into action and get it done. I mean, what thing is crazy is like since I started this company, this business, maybe the first 2 years, that's it. But I've never felt like I've been working. I'm in my office right now. I got shorts and a t-shirt on. Like I,
Yeah.
and I have clients coming in an hour, and they all know me, and I just don't. None of it feels like work. Like even doing inventory or like packing, like it's all just fun to me. And I'm like I have my own business where I made it. Like I'm like, why would I not pack up my own boxes?
Because you're living in your own creation.
Yeah. And I
So
love it.
why would it be tense? But now we have to go back to living in your body. Living with yourself, living with your own emotions. And actually, you already know how to do the manifesting. You just are not applying it. So when it comes to like the spiritual, physical, emotional side, you can tell your cells what to do. You can tell your mind what to feel. You could dictate to your emotions how you want it to be. There's a space where it's not sitting lonely, where you can be sitting in solitude with yourself, not having to feel like nobody else is with me, because you're always around, especially if you get into the spiritual realm, you're always in connection with your own self, your own source. So you're never alone, you're just detaching yourself.
Exactly. I've been listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks lately, and she talks all
Oh, I
about like
love her.
source. Like
Yeah.
it's been really powerful. And now like I don't listen to music much anymore. I listen to YouTubes and podcasts. And
Yeah.
morning now I wake up and I do a 10-minute guided meditation, and I take that hour or two alone. Even when I go to
Hmm.
the gym in the morning, like I have my earphones in, I don't talk to anybody. I'm in LA, and like every girl in there has like the tightest booty shorts on, like a broad top on. Like I'm just like focused. I'm like, I'm doing my thing. This is my time. And the next hour I have my coffee. I'm like, it's my time. And that's like was tough for me before. It was
Yeah.
very tough. And I have a coach now as well. I meet him once a week. He's like a soul coach, a freedom coach,
Oh,
a life.
good.
And I noticed with him last week where he was asking me like, Rocky, like in the 5 months we've worked together, I've watched you transform ridiculously. Do you see it? Do you acknowledge yourself? And I was like, bro, you know what? For the first time I think in my entire life, I'm excited about the next day. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go to sleep and wake up and do another day again. Whether it's
Yeah.
tough, whether like I have emotional stuff come up, whether my dad calls me and blows me, whether me and my girl get in an argument, whether a client has a bad review, whatever it is, like I'm excited to like have that happen that day, have that day. And I realized it and I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever had that before. I mean, the only time I've been excited to wake up and go to sleep is like if I know I'm going to a party or a trip or a concert or something
So
like.
what do you think has flipped for you in that regard? Like, why do you think now versus the way you were before?
I feel like I'm still, like you said before, to like in the process. Like I think healing is going to be always like lifelong process, but I think I've been so consistent in it now for a
Hmm.
couple of years that I'm finally. Because in the beginning, I'm listening to Robin Sharma, Jonas, and I'm like crying, like, what are they saying? I'm gonna keep listening to it, but I don't get it. How is it ever gonna be good for me? Like, and now I'll hear it, and I'm like, yo, thank you, and like I just saying gratitude. I know I can't call Tony Robbins, but like he has to be able to feel it. Like some of the stuff that they say, like even Dr. Dyer, you know, he's rest in peace, he's not here. Like
Mhm.
I just I'm just so grateful for it. And I feel that
You
live.
know who is a good person that you will like if you haven't listened to him already is Neville Goddard.
Neville God, I think I have heard that name.
My favorite. When
Yeah.
I first started listening to him, um, I was listening to Greg Braden and a few other speakers, and they kept referencing Neville Goddard, Neville Goddard, Neville Goddard. And then I listened to him, and because of his accent, like I just couldn't get it. Like I didn't get it. I didn't understand. But now, like that was what I needed for my own breakthrough when it comes to like manifesting and being confident in what the next day brings, because a lot of times we get so stressed out and upset and frantic and have anxiety attacks because we don't know what tomorrow is going to be and we can't force it and whatever. But now you're in a space where like you are present and you can also create tomorrow. You can also create and have a say in what that's going to be. So
Exactly.
like moving forward, good vibes.
And it's almost magical. And I would be the one of the ones a couple years ago to almost make fun of someone that said what I'm gonna say. Is like everything is coming to me, like
Yes, it does.
just and
Now you're not fighting the flow, you're downstream, so you're flowing with it. you're you're no longer, like Abraham Hicks says, you're no longer holding that cork under the water, you're bobbing on top, and it makes life a lot easier when you don't have to have control of everything, that you're able to just bob and weave and keep moving and flow with it and be okay with something didn't happen this way, that way, it came up another way. Like you got to be okay with all those things and manage those emotions. Like my favorite time is really alone,
yeah,
when I'm by myself. But before, I felt that lonely. But now it's like, I need my alone time. I need my serenity. So I could just be appreciating the stuff around me and not have other energies bombarded and asking me for stuff, or, having to deal with other people. So the
exactly.
further along you get in your journey, it'll be interesting. You'll have a lot of friends, right? Because you're successful in your business. So you'll have access to things, you have enough money to go places. But along the journey, you will find that the stronger you grow as a person and in your business, the less and less and less people who actually are going to be part of your circle.
Yeah, I think I realize that now. Actually, my only two best friends are across the world, and I'm not looking to like have a whole bunch of friends anymore. I have
Yeah.
like acquaintances in LA. Like we meet at events and we go to things together and we meet up, and my girl and I, or me separately by myself. But my circle and people I allow, like, really into my life is very, very, very small.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about that is I can give so much to those certain people because I don't have to worry about 50 other
The
people.
masses, exactly. And they're more appreciative of sharing that energy with you, anyways. It's not like the hangers on. You have fans and you have followers and likers, and then you have your actual in real life group of friends and people who actually support you, like your family and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, listen, a lot of juice up in here. Those a lot of details with you. Much more to unpack. I feel like there's like a second chapter to this.
Yeah, there's definitely stories in between there.
By far, one of the more interesting journeys to entrepreneurship I have heard lately, and I've spoken to hundreds of people. Hundreds of people. But I think, what is your takeaway? If you had one thing to tell the younger Rocky, one nugget of advice, like, this is where you're gonna be, bro, what would you do? What would you say to that younger Rocky?
I would say trust in the universe and don't stress out and be so worried about how everything's gonna go. That's the only, like, quote unquote, if there was a regret or something I wish I didn't do as much, would be to worry so much about everything. Like I used to that started so many other problems for me, just being worried and having that mindset of like, oh, something bad is gonna happen, and then I'd make,
Hmm.
like, and if I could just trust in the universe, trust in God, trust in myself back then, which I do now, like that would be the thing I would say. Just trust Rock, and everything's gonna be okay, and smile. Like there's so many different tools I use to get here, from the yoga, the breath work, meditation, quieting my mind, ridding distractions, getting away from everybody I was. Um, but that's like the heart of it is learning to really trust that source, that universe, that knowing, and letting that guide you. And I call it my heart. Love, for me, it's love. That's like my mantra when I feel sick or sad or scared. I am love, I am love, I am love, I am love. And love is like what I was searching and chasing, and what I thought was taking at
Yes.
a young age.
Yes. A
I just
100%.
So that's it.
Self-love is the best love, as I like to say.
I agree.
Well, this was a fabulous conversation. We definitely need to link up again. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, I don't even know if I could chop any of this out. Like, it was all interesting.
Raw and unfiltered.
For real, you are the raw and unfiltered. Thank you so much for joining me. Tell people how they can get in touch with you. I also would like to know. So how they can get in touch with you to be your client is you look for distributors, for stores,
Definitely.
retailers and things like that. So how do they get in touch?
Oh yeah, definitely. So my name is Rocky Singh Kandola. The name of the company is Hair Made in India. I have a personal website. It's called Rocky ROCKY. My last name Kandola KANDOLA.com. On that, there's links to not only the blogs and talking about life, but all the businesses that I've started, from hair extensions to vacation rental to CBDTs, some of my acting stuff, and some new things I'm trying in coaching as well. So it's RockyKandola.com. My direct phone number and email, everything is on that website as well. So hit me up. I answer my own phone. I don't have an answering service for any business I do. I answer my own calls. So yeah, get in touch. And
Perfect. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Have a beautiful day ahead. Thank you too.